I thought that I would talk about some of the media I've been consuming recently and how that has kind of affected my thinking in general, and also my inspiration for upcoming games. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think that the media that I consume really informs um, like how I'm thinking about stuff and stuff that I want to make, right? It's really inspirational. I grab ideas from all over the place. Media is just one of them. But by media, I mean like books, movies, TV, art. I guess any kind of art that is inspiring me or is around me. And I guess consume is the wrong word. I kind of hate that word because of multiple reasons. Because of how we use it under capitalism, you know, as though we need objects and things to nourish us, right? As opposed to kind of this concept in that I think of, the way that I think about art, which is more, I don't know, it's less capitalist, even though a lot of art is trapped in capitalism. It's less about destroying things to create stuff and more about making things beautiful and what beauty means to us as humans. And also consumption as like this eating metaphor, right? Like, I don't know, like, I guess recently going vegan, I see like a lot of how we talk about eating as like also this capitalist thing, and there's like commercials for meat every 5 seconds if you watch real TV, and like it's just everywhere. It's very weird. I'm in the porch and it's raining and there's some traffic, but it's really pretty. So I hope the sound isn't too weird, or that I can kind of fix it in post. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I just finished reading this amazing Brazilian cyberpunk book. It's called The Summer Prince. It is basically takes place in like a post-nuclear winter Brazil, and women have kind of taken over the city culture there. They build this pyramid that's very class structure. You know, the rich people are at the top and the poor people are at the bottom type thing. And it's really good. I loved it. The characters, it's a young adult novel. The characters are in a love triangle, you know, Twilight style, with a lady and two guys. And the gender is binary for the most part, but they're bisexual, which is super cool. It kind of like breaks down that trope of like, I can only have one dude, but really they're all just dating each other, and it's quite lovely. And I don't read much young adult stuff, so it was kind of refreshing and kind of cool to see that. And the thing that kind of stood out to me, it's a great book in a lot of ways. Like, the tech is kind of interesting and the metaphors are awesome, and the way that the author takes Brazilian culture and cyberpunks it in the future is awesome. Like, it's very cool to see non-Western, non-European cyberpunk, right? But one of the things about the story is that women have kind of taken over running the city and the culture because men destroyed the world, more or less. And thinking about that in relation to the two books that I just read before that with The Mushroom at the End of the World and Staying with the Trouble, and how both of those academics describe you know, capitalist progress as being at the heart of the destruction of the environment, and how, you know, that study came out this week that 60% of animals have been eradicated by human development and progress since the 1950s. All animal species, like all over the world, which is devastating. That's just, and like thinking about, like, so I'm a member of all these snake groups on Facebook and animal groups in general. And there's this one group, the snake identification group, and lots of times people will come into the group knowing nothing about snakes and post a picture of a dead snake you know, that they found sleeping on their porch for shelter, and asked the group, what is this snake? And it's really upsetting to us as reptile lovers, snake lovers. You know, they're animals too, even the venomous ones, you know, in America and all over the world. But, you know, people see something they don't understand in their home and they kill it. They think it's a pest, right? And really it's the opposite. Like, we're living in their home. Like, we built a house in their territory and they're just looking for a place to sleep. And the reality of that is super sad. Number one, that like people are just so willing to kill other living things, you know. We have like these really complex societies and cultures and compassion and understanding, civilization, right? But we do this all the time without thinking. We don't have an understanding of what's living around us and with us. And that disconnect, like, starts with snakes and goes, like, to racism in my mind and sexism, you know what I mean? To the other. Like, there's an other that is existing with me that I don't understand or I'm afraid of, so I'm just gonna kill it. Yeah, and so I kind of loved in the Summer Prince how, you know, women are like, men killed the world, so we're taking over. It was just kind of like refreshing, even though I don't really, you know, adhere to a gender binary, neither does science. But there's something just refreshing about that idea. You know, you guys fucked up. It's our turn now. I also just finished the latest season of The Walking Dead, which I've gone on and off The Walking Dead. The beginning of The Walking Dead was super fun. It was a cultural phenomenon. I love Michonne. She's like one of my favorite fictional characters on this earth. I mean, who doesn't love her? And you know, it gave us a new socio-political zombie thing to watch, which was fun and cool. But you know, over time it kind of became trash and I stopped watching it for many reasons. A lot of zombie post-apocalyptic fiction, especially on TV and in movies, can quickly go turn into like a libertarian fantasy, right? Like it's about survival and every person for themselves, and there's lots of guns, and you know, killing is sanctioned because zombies aren't human, right? But they are, but they're not. It's a thing. So this latest season of The Walking Dead, it still has Negan. I'm sorry. I do love you, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but the character in the storyline is tired and I wish they'd change it. And this isn't the one that's airing right now. I guess this is the season that aired maybe last year. I'm watching it on Netflix, so everything is behind. But, and no spoilers, by the way. But it's pretty cool how this season focused instead of, well, there is some gunfights and stuff like that, right? Because there always is. It's zombie stuff. But there's, the main conflict for the story is internal. It is kind of a reflection of current American politics, which I appreciate, which is, you know, the two factions. It seems very clearly Republican and Democratic. And you know, the Democrats are the good guys and the Republicans are the bad guys for the most part, but the Democrats are a little bit more libertarian. And so it kind of posits this internal struggle that all the characters are having. And the internal struggle is it right to kill people? And it's cool, actually. Like, they do a really good job with all the characters dealing with the struggle of, you know, what is right. How can I, if this other group of people is coming to kill me, can I kill them? Is it okay to fight violence with violence for my rights and for my society's rights? Which I feel like has been like a liberal struggle recently. Like, you don't have to be like them. You don't have to fight violence with violence, which, like, obviously sometimes you do. Like, it's not ideal. I think that that's like a last straw type situation. But if people are trying to kill you, you have to fight back. Sometimes that looks like violence. So while I just liked kind of the binary, of course, of this season, I really liked the internal struggle, which goes back to a more personal type of horror, which is my favorite type of horror, I guess. Speaking of horror, I'm most of the way through this season of American Horror Story. It's kind of like a cross between, I don't know, like, there's a coven of witches on the one hand, and on the other it's like Devilman Crybaby, with like the Antichrist being the most emo teenager character from the 90s, and it is a delight. This season is not scary at all. It is mostly like fan fiction, and it's very gay. And I love it. It's just a blast. It has me thinking a lot about serialized horror. I would love to do a game. This might be the game I do maybe after the Butterfly game that Kitty and I are working on. I would love to do an American Horror Story game where it's like just you know, a mishmash of horror tropes, and you know, you play a season. It's a very like serialized already, so that would be super easy for a role-playing game. And then, you know, the characters you play start out as terrible villainous monsters and turn into you know, the compassionate main character good guys. It's just a fantastic setup. If you haven't seen American Horror Story, watch it. It's one of my favorite things. If you like horror, I don't know why you wouldn't like American Horror Story. It's a delight. And I started Daredevil season 3, which is surprisingly good. They kind of went back to the basics. You know, really good choreographed hallway fights, and the really good job that they do with the cinematography, like the lighting and the color and the set decor. And it actually feels pretty scary for the characters this season, which I really love. I have a problem with Daredevil in that it's really hard to have sympathy for Matt Murdock. He is just an asshole. Like, he's narcissistic. he like, you know, obviously just wants, you know, compassion and attention, and wants to feel sorry for himself. And he just reminds me of so many boys that I know, or have known, I guess, that, you know, can't kind of see beyond themselves and want everyone else to do the emotional labor for them. And like, I feel like this has always been transparent in the show. Like, it's not a secret. Like, that they're trying to make that Matt Murdock's weakness. But whereas in past seasons it's been frustrating because I guess he hasn't really been satisfyingly called out on his bullshit, this season it is super satisfying because he is being called out on his bullshit. It's like they took what they learned from the second season of Luke Cage about toxic masculinity and applied it to this season of Daredevil. And it's not bad. It's pretty fun. The only thing I'm sad about is that there's no Elektra, because she's my favorite character ever. So yeah, I guess in summary, that's kind of how media is like affecting my thinking right now. I'm thinking a lot about meaningful games. Like, you know, I did a Cozy Den, which was, you know, meaningful in the sense that it's a game that you can play to feel cozy, which I think is very valuable for a lot of people right now. And it's just, you know, I'm finishing up Something Is Wrong Here, which is kind of about, you know, personal identity things. And if you know, why you might feel uncomfortable with your identity, or things that you've done, or ways that you feel, which I think is also very valuable to kind of explore that introspection and those feelings, like sit in those feelings of discomfort, right? And you know, this Monarch game coming up is really important to me because of ideas of conservation that, of all the social issues that are happening right now, are just at the forefront for me. Like, I care obviously a lot about feminism and racism and homophobia and like social issues like that in America. But, you know, when it comes to scale, I guess environmental and climate issues are taking the cake for me right now, just because, you know, where are we gonna live if we fuck all this up? How are we gonna survive? Like, how does this impact our health as humans? And there's been studies done, you know, that the hotter it gets, even these small incremental heat rises are causing more war, you know, the loss of water and you know, resources in various countries have already started a post-apocalyptic kind of setting for those people. And that's rapidly approaching us here in the US as well. And that sounds kind of selfish, like, oh, it's finally coming for us, but it's something I've been paying attention to for a while in other places, and I felt kind of helpless to influence. And now that it's here, I feel like the awareness is here to push it forward. And I feel ridiculous actually just coming to this now, like just beginning to care more about climate. And I think a lot of it has to do with being recently vegan and my empathy level for animals going up just because I'm vegan. Like, I didn't start out that way, it has become that way in the past year. And you know, owning snakes, owning an atypical animal as a pet, and like being around them and knowing about them has raised my empathy for creatures that I don't understand as much. And you know, I just care so much about that and changing it. It's our responsibility, you know? So making a game about conserving monarchs and kind of teaching people through that game as an educational tool, but like as a fun educational tool, I think is a good way to communicate those ideas, like, to lots of people. And a lot of gamers really care about this stuff. Like, a lot of gamers care about social change, which on all different kinds of levels, which is heartwarming to me, because I think a lot of people have this view of gamers as like the Gamergate situation, you know, like this really negative view, but I see our community wanting to change and having the tools to understand how to do it, because we understand systems through gaming, right? So I think making stuff like that, like making games that can actually change the world and impact it in meaningful ways, is where I want to go. That's where my art is going. It's going that way. Because what I really feel like doing is like going off and joining Antifa and, you know, I don't know, I feel like I need to do something active, and I feel like making art about things is kind of passive, even though I know that's a way that I can impact things, like spreading information and education and eradicating ignorance is like super important in fighting these battles. So anyway, this is my rant about media. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe and share these videos if you like them, and I will see you in my next video.